Hey guys, MCU Collector here with another video. We're rolling right along, one after the other. Tonight, the next video, we have video number 6 in the Hasbro Marvel Legends series. Spider-Man Wave 12, Spider-Man Far From Home, Molten Man, Build-A-Figure Wave. This is Spider-Woman, the Julia Carpenter version. This is the one that I've been hearing people say, we want Julia Carpenter. Every time there's a new Spider-Woman, why don't we get Julia Carpenter, Julia Carpenter, Julia Carpenter? And here she is! And it does look like a very good figure with a new accessory piece, so that is pretty cool. The unfortunate thing is that the package is really being overpowered by the massive torso piece to the Molten Man Build-A-Figure that it's really, in my opinion, overshadowing the figure, because when you look at it, the first thing that you're really paying attention to is that Build-A-Figure piece. So it's awesome that we're getting a massive Build-A-Figure, but then in this case, I just feel like it's taken away from the figure. But there's really no other way to do it. Just one of those things. So Spider-Woman down at the bottom, Spider-Man logo there. We have a comic Spider logo there. It's almost like the Amazing Spider-Man Spider, but whatever. Awesome artwork on the side of Julia Carpenter, and here we have a better look at it. All the figures in the Wave to Build Molten Man. Let's take a look at that bio. Spider-Woman. Julia Carpenter becomes an ally of Spider-Man and the Avengers after she is given spider-powered abilities by a secret government experiment. Interesting. So there she is, and the figure looks very good. I'm going to do some research to find out who she is, because this Spider-Woman I'm not really familiar with. So we'll get right to it. Let's open her up. Okay, and here is the Julia Carpenter Spider-Woman figure out of the package, or as she's also known as Arachne and Madam Web. So a lot of history with Julia Carpenter. She is the second Spider-Woman, and I know that I believe she debuted in Spider Secret Wars, and I think she was the first to have the black and white suit, and then it was the symbiote suit was modeled after this. You guys correct me if I'm wrong on that, but I thought I had read that before. I didn't see it when I was just reading up on her now, but I believe that's how it worked out. And these female bodies are so hard to stand up because the legs are so thin. So you can see that she comes with this this web effect here, which looks really cool. We'll get a closer look to it because I think it's actually done very well. So of course you're going to have an extra hand there. But I want to talk about the Molten Man Build-A-Figure for a second, because it was so large in the package, but it was also misleading because the torso comes in half. So I knew that it was actually in 2 pieces, so I didn't know exactly how it was going to be until you take it out of the package and you realize that all they did to fit it in there was to stack this on top and make it look like it was going to be, you know, massive or whatever. But really, this is the size of the torso piece, so it's still big, don't get me wrong, but it's not as big. And then you can see that it's going to piece together like so. You can see that it's very thick, so that just kind of like the Monster Venom piece, to fit it into the package they actually have to separate the torso. So I don't want to take away from the Build-A-Figure, because it is still massively large, but it isn't as tall as I kind of thought it might be. So let's get in closer to take a closer look of Julia Carpenter. Okay, so here's a close-up look at the Julia Carpenter Spider-Woman figure. And one thing that I really like about this figure is actually the head sculpt. I think it came out looking really good. Skin tone looks good. The purple, magenta, fuchsia, whatever color lipstick I think is applied quite nicely. The white of the lenses look really good and kind of pearlescent, so I like that. But the hair came out looking really good. So they put in, it's kind of a yellow, it's a blondish color with a lot of brown wash in there, and that looks pretty good, and they gave it a nice flowing look to it. So I really like the way that came out. The paint apps on this figure are very good. I have no real complaints. For the most part, it's actually white plastic, and then the black is painted over it. How many times have we seen where they've done black plastic and then painted the white over it, and then it ends up looking really bad? So they did use white plastic and then black paint over here, and then of course the torso piece is all black paint, black plastic, and then the white is applied. But even the arms are all white, and then they add the black paint. So that came out looking really good. I like the way they look at it. The only complaint that I would have is when you have the torso and it's kind of standard resting position, the spider logo seems kind of off. But if you pull the diaphragm joint back, you can get it to match up, but then, you know, she's not really standing up straight. So that's my only complaint, but otherwise the figure does look really good. Now, I'm more used to the Jessica Drew Spider-Woman, but Julia Carpenter was the second Spider-Woman, and this is the one that everyone has really been wanting. I do really like the suit. I do like it more than Spider-Woman's red and yellow suit, but it is what it is. But it is a solid figure. It's a typical female figure. Not a whole lot going for it. To, you know, the very thin legs. Luckily, she doesn't have heels, so she's not really hard to stand up. The highlight, other than the head sculpt, is going to be this new effect piece here. So it's kind of like the same thing we've been getting with Bullseye, with Gambit most recently, Captain America too, the throwing shield. So it's kind of that effect where it has the hand piece, so you could just pop it off like you would a hand. So it has the hand look there. And it gives that effect. So this thing is really cool. I like the way it looks. It's done in a translucent plastic, but there's a nice pearly shine to it. So depending on the light, and it's really not going to come through on camera, which is unfortunate. Because it really has a pearly look to it. So on certain angles, you might see some pinks come out of it and stuff. So I don't know exactly how they did it, but it comes out looking really good. So I really like the way it looks, and I'm glad that we get this nice web effect piece. So I think maybe Hasbro will be giving us more of these types of things, because this is done really well. Unlike, you know, the shield and the Gambit throwing things, it's not so much an issue as far as placement and how the projectile will be going. So this works out really well. Okay, let's take a look at her articulation. Okay, so to go over Julia Carpenter, her articulation, she can look all the way down, so that's not a problem there. She's not going to be able to look up because that hair is absolutely going to be in the way. She gets a little bit of neck pivot, not too much, and then you get some rotation in there, and the hair is going to get in the way a little bit, but you can get a fair amount of movement in there. Shoulders go up quite high with these female figures. You can get them above a little bit more up, so you can get that high. Of course, a full rotation. Typical female body. There is no double jointed elbow, so you get a single jointed elbow, which also swivels, so you can get about 90-degree bend only on that elbow there, which works out. Wrists swivel, and they do hinge. The effect hand, there is no hinge on this one though, so once you put it in, it's going to stay in place. So no hinge on this. Same for the right side, swivel and hinge. Female body, we get the diaphragm joint, so you can rotate to the side that much on the pivot to that side that much. Forward, you get very, very, very little, and then going back, you get quite a bit more. And then, of course, side-to-side motion as well works out really good. No waist swivel. Legs only go out that far apart, so it's pretty limited there. Upper thigh cut, double jointed knee. Foot hinges all the way down, hinges up slightly, and then you do get an ankle pivot. There's no swivel at the calf or anything. So typical female body that we see used for almost every female body figure. Off the top of my head, this one, I think this one's like the Jean Grey Phoenix one. The legs are very thin on this one, and it's not, yeah, I think Psylocke uses this one, Mystique as well. But typical body figure that we see used multiple times. I mean, really, there's only 2 or 3 that Hasbro uses. So there she is, and that's my review. So I'm not going to show any comparisons to her because, you know, she's the only Julia Carpenter figure that has been released. Typical female body figure. The costume does look good. I'm glad that it went with the white plastic and then black paint over the white, as opposed to black plastic and white paint over the black. So that came out looking pretty good. You guys let me know what you guys think of this figure. Are you guys one of the ones that have really been waiting for this version of Spider-Woman to come out? Let me know down in the comments below if you feel that this figure really hits the target for you and it meets all your expectations. Hit that thumbs up if you guys liked the video. Subscribe if you haven't already done so. And as always, thank you guys for watching.